Hi everybody, my name is Caleb. Today I'm going to be playing Pokemon Sword and Shield. I'll be doing a preview of my Week 4 matchup for the Big Brain Draft League, which is against Mr. Pizza, head coach of the Chesterfield Comfeys. Okay, so just like in previous weeks, I'm going to be going about my opponent's team in speed order with like kind of a set sort of based off of Pikalytics. A disclaimer for this week is I've already done my battle with Mr. Pizza. It's 4:39 on a Sunday. Me and Mr. Pizza battled at 9:30 on Friday morning. So that being said, just going to go ahead and jump right into it. For item and ability on Talonflame, you're going to be seeing Sharp Beak and Gale Wings. The Sharp Beak really increases the flying type power, flying type move power, and then Gale Wings is going to be giving you priority on your flying type moves as long as you're at full HP, right? So Tailwind, Brave Bird, Flare Blitz, and Taunt are going to be the moves. Tailwind and Taunt are really good status moves that just kind of help you either speed yourself up, slow your opponent down, and then Brave Bird, Flare Blitz are just really strong stab moves, right? Both of them are recoil also. And so that's why you're not really going to see a Focus Sash on Talonflame either. Really just not even worth it. Plus, like, even at 1 HP, you're not getting your boost out of Gale Wings. So there's really no need to run Sash. So Sharp Beak is generally something that you see and makes a lot of sense, right? For the spread, you're going to be seeing 4 in HP, 252 in attack, and then 252 in speed with a Jolly Nature. The whole point of Talonflame is just to be faster and everything and hit it kind of hard, right? Its other stats aren't really worth investing anything in. So this is just this is what you're going to see out of Talonflame almost basically 10 times out of 10, right? Moving on to the Salazzle, we got Focus Sash and Oblivious. Focus Sash, Salazzle is not very bulky at all, so keeping it alive is definitely a high priority. It's likely to get one shot, right? So for the ability, Oblivious makes more sense here than Corrosion. Corrosion, the only thing that my opponent would really get any use out of that on is my Klefki, right? And then Oblivious, being immune to Intimidate doesn't matter a whole lot for Salazzle, seeing as it's a special attacker. But if I were to bring something that could Infatuate or Taunt, right, it'd be nice to be protected. For the moveset, you're going to see Heat Wave, Fake Out, Sludge Bomb, and this should be Beat Up. Yep, there it is. Right, that's just kind of like what the Pikalytics set is. I wouldn't expect Beat Up, honestly, out of Salazzle. It would be more like a Protect, probably. My opponent doesn't have anything that gets the Justified ability, so it wouldn't really make sense for my opponent to have something that uses Beat Up, which is the primary, Justified, tech, right, to make that happen. The set is, or the smooth spread is going to be, the stat spread is going to be 4 in HP, 252 special attack, and 252 speed with a timid nature, right? It's pretty much the same thing as Talonflame, but instead of a physical attacker, it's a special attacker. You want to be fast, you want to hit hard. That's what the set's going to give you. You're not really going to see any other spread just because the defense and special defense are so low. You're not really going to get any use out of putting any EVs in those, right? Moving on to the Raichu, likely to see a Focus Sash and Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod is just such a good ability because it really helps you get your Raichu hitting hard and hitting fast. And then it keeps all your other Pokemon protected from electric moves as well. So that's really nice. Focus Sash, once again, another Pokemon that is not very bulky. So being able to keep it alive with a Focus Sash matters a lot. Moves that you're going to see: Fake Out, Volt Switch, Nuzzle, and Helping Hand. Volt Switch and Nuzzle are your two stab moves. Nuzzle doesn't really do a whole lot, but it does give you the chance to paralyze, right? Volt Switch, I think is a decent move, but honestly, you're not really getting a whole lot out of Volt Switch. My opponent doesn't really have a whole lot of Pokemon that get like field entry abilities, like maybe Indeedee with its Psychic Surge. The other Pokemon that my opponent has, I don't think have any enter the field abilities anyway, so I wouldn't really honestly expect to see Volt Switch, but I definitely could see like Rising Voltage, wherever that's at. Where are you? Yeah, Rising Voltage, right? Because my opponent does have a Gmax Lapras, which does tend to run Thunder, and so in its Gigantamax form, it could set Electric Terrain, and then my opponent, if they do bring Raichu, would get a lot of value out of Rising Voltage, right? Nuzzle and Helping Hand, probable. Nuzzle, it's always nice to get a paralysis off, and then Helping Hand if Raichu's not really doing a whole lot for you or just can't hit, right? Like, I've got one ground Pokemon, but so like if I were to have that Pokemon on the field and Raichu couldn't hit it, Helping Hand, just to help ensure that that opponent gets the KO, right? For the stats, we're going to go 4 into HP, 252 into Special Attack, 252 into Speed, then it's going to be Timid Nature. It's basically the same thing as Salazzle. You want to hit fast, you want to hit hard. Timid Nature is going to help you hit fast, and then it's 252 in Special Attack and Speed is going to take care of the rest, right? Moving into Comfey. Comfey is one of the most important Pokemon in this matchup. My opponent has a lot of things that Comfey works well with that it can boost up, right? So looking at it, you're probably going to get a Focus Sash on Comfey. And then Triage is the ability that you're going to run on Comfey like 10 times out of 10 pretty much. Triage is going to increase your priority by 3, which is really important because Prankster only increases it by priority by 1, right? Which, like, I have Pokemon that have Prankster. Talonflame also, its Gale Wings ability only increases priority by 1 for flying moves, right? So anytime that Comfey's on the field, it's basically going to be the first thing that's moving, regardless of if it's in Trick Room or not, right? So the Triage ability is like super important, and knowing that number is increased by 3 really, 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 really matters. Moving into the moves, Floral Healing to heal your to heal the other Pokemon that you have on your side of the field, right? Trick Room's actually kind of nice on Comfey. There's a lot of situations where, like, if my opponent were to get into a, like, they don't have Tailwind, or like I manage to set up my own Trick Room, them being able to flip the Trick Room again would be really nice for them, right? Training Kiss gets them like some stab and priority, and then Giga Drain also gets some priority as well. Key thing to note about both of these moves, these can be used to set off weakness policies on other Pokemon that my opponent could bring, and that's part of why Comfey is like so important on this team, because it really just helps set up my opponent's Pokemon, and then it helps keep them alive. So Comfey's definitely a hot item for this week. Moving into the the stat spread, it's going to be 188 EVs in HP, 4 in defense and special defense, 252 in special attack, and then 60 in speed. I honestly don't know what my opponent's spread is, and frankly, I don't expect them to be running 252 in special attack. I really think that, like, Comfey, you're bringing it to do to kind of just be a bit of a nuisance, really. Like, you're going to be using it to, like, set up a weakness policy probably, and then, like, Floral Healing is going to be a pretty huge thing too, and also being able to, like, break sashes with either, like, Draining Kiss or Giga Drain. So you're not really aiming for damage, you're honestly aiming mostly for a support style role. So I would be surprised to see 252 in the special attack. Honestly, like, if I were going to build a Comfey set, it would probably be like the 252 in HP with the 196. I think it's 190. No, what is it? It's 190. Nope, not 190. It's 168, I believe it is. 168, and is it 128? I think it's 128. Yeah, 128, right? So that's really the, like, if I were building a Comfey set, like, that's probably what I would be going for, and I definitely don't think I'd be doing Timid either. You'd probably want to see something like whatever minus attack plus defense is. I think that's Brave. It's bold. Yeah, so, like, something like this would make, like, a lot of sense for Comfey over whatever the Picolytic set was, right? Indeedee is, like, crazy strong, right? Indeedee is kind of nuts, right? The male Indeedee specifically. So Indeedee probably run like a Focus Sash with Psychic Surge. You don't run anything other than Psychic Surge on Indeedee. That way you get great use out of Expanding Force, right? With the with the Psychic Terrain set, has 1.5 times power and hits both foes. It's super strong, pretty crazy, right? You're gonna run Trick Room and then Imprison, just so that, like, that's one of, like, the main things that, like, male Indeedee is, like, one of the reasons why it's so good is because it can imprison Trick Roomers. And because it's so fast already, you can just go from Imprison. Trick Room always moves last, right? Anyway, so just being able to imprison Trick Room, which, like, my team, especially this week, is gonna get a lot of use, or it's gonna get a lot of is gonna get a good advantage out of Trick Room, because the rest of because my opponent's Pokemon are so fast, right? Imprison Trick Room is gonna be really useful for my opponent this week, right? Last move is gonna be Dazzling Gleam for some coverage. I would expect anything from Dazzling Gleam to Hyper Voice, realistically, is kind of what I would expect from my opponent on that. The set is actually going to be kind of like a fast special sweeper with 4 in HP, 252 in special attack and speed, and then timid nature again, right? Another thing that you can see, right? So focus sash can also be choice specs too, just so that you're doing crazy amounts of damage with a psychic surge, expanding force, choice specs with 252. And then honestly, you could see this be modest as well. Like looking at this set, you get 172 on your special attack there. I don't even yeah, that's higher than I think anything else that would like be a special attacker on my opponent's team. So you could realistically see something like this too. Mr. Pizza, I'm pretty sure, has brought a set very similar to this and just like clicked expanding force with a psychic surge choice specs and just like dominated his opponents, right? So this is definitely something to watch out for as well. Kangaskhan. So Kangaskhan, you're probably going to run Silk Scarf just to give your normal moves some extra damage. Scrappy, so that you can hit ghost Pokemon with your normal and fighting moves. And then you're going to run Fake Out, Last Resort, Rock Slide, and Double Edge, right? So Fake Out's really nice. You get stab out of it, and you get a flinch. Last Resort is the strongest stab move that Kangaskhan gets. Actually outside of Giga Impact, but Giga Impact you're not really running, in all honesty. Double Edge is also a very strong stab move that you can, use before you get to like Last Resort. And then Rock Slide. Kangaskhan can be pretty fast, and then Rock Slide, hits both Mons and can get you the flinch as well. So for Kangaskhan, the set is 20 in HP, 236 in attack, and then 252 in speed with a jolly nature, right? Just to make sure that you're outspeeding, getting best use out of Rock Slide and your stab move, Double Edge, and all that, right? Moving on to the second team of Pokemon that my opponent could bring. We're starting off with Sea King, which normally runs a Rindo Berry to have damage from a super effective grass attack. Sea King also runs Lightning Rod, which is really good because that eliminates its only other weakness, and then just makes it stronger. You mostly actually see out of Sea King physical attacks, but you can see as this moveset indicates special attacks as well. So Lightning Rod, right? Lightning Rod is just a real good move because then it also keeps your other Pokemon protected as well. So a move set on Sea King, you're going to see things like Protect, Scald, Horn Drill, and Ice Beam. I don't actually know if Horn Drill is like legal in like VGC. I don't know if like if one hit moves are allowed. So maybe instead of something like that, you could maybe see probably not like a Blizzard. Does it even get any other special moves? It gets Hyper Beam. You could maybe see like Hyper Beam. It gets Mud Shot, Mud Slap. It doesn't get anything like too really impressive, honestly. So like this maybe could be like another. You could maybe see like Haze. I could see people running Haze on a Sea King as well. So so something like that could definitely be kind of dangerous for my team, in all honesty. The set that Sea King is running is 172 HP, 180 defense, and then 156 in special defense with a calm nature. Just to really make you pretty bulky. You're able to live, hits decently well, and then like with the Lightning Rod, you're sitting in a pretty good spot if you do manage to get hit by a lightning move. Tyranitar is a super scary Pokemon, one of the best in the game. Has just been banned in Series 6 too, right? So like this is not a Pokemon to mess around with. So I'm assuming, right, that like Tyranitar is going to be showing up, especially with the fact that my opponent also has Comfey as well. So Tyranitar probably going to see Weakness Policy, which is going to be a self proc, which is like makes it like super dangerous. Sandstream, which one gives Tyranitar a positive, or it boosts special defense for Tyranitar, as well as just kind of damages the rest of my Pokemon, because I don't really have anything that really deals with sand. I don't have anything that really like controls weather, so Tyranitar really also just helps you control weather too, right? Which is like super nice. Rock Slide for the flinch and stab damage, right, on both Pokemon. Protect, just really good on any Pokemon. Superpower, just for like really good coverage, right? There's a lot of stuff that like Tyranitar really likes having superpower against. What do I have specifically that would work, or that like Tyranitar would really like superpower against? I don't honestly think it's actually too much. Yeah, like maybe my Incineroar, possibly like Pillow Swine, but realistically, I don't actually have like a whole lot of stuff that my opponent would want to use Superpower against. But it can, if you do Dynamax, you get that pot, you do get the Max Knuckle. So honestly, that's probably a pretty good reason to keep it. And then Lash Out's just really nice because you like, especially in the Gmax meta with Pokemon getting their stats lowered from Dynamax moves, right? Lash Out has a lot of really good uses. The HP, the stat spread, you're going to have 172 in HP, 252 in attack, 4 in defense and special defense, and then 76 in speed with a adamant nature just to really make sure that you're doing as much damage as necessary with Tyranitar. This Tyranitar in particular, you do see a lot of Tyranitars in like Trick Room situations. However, I think my opponent is going to lean heavily on the Tailwind, so I would expect them to go with a faster Tyranitar. Besides most of what my opponent is going to bring, I would expect it to include Tyranitar is going to outspeed a lot of my team. I don't have too many Pokemon that actually have higher base speeds than Tyranitar, if I remember correctly. Lapras. So Lapras is my opponent's Gigantamax Pokemon, right? So probably going to be running a Life Orb. And Shell Armor those are the two most popular, item ability on Lapras, right? Do I expect my opponent to bring Shell Armor this week? Absolutely not. But that's the set, right? For the moves, Hydro Pump, Protect, Thunder, and Freeze Dry. This is pretty standard. There's not a whole lot of reason to run anything else. Like you could maybe run Sparkling Aria if you wanted the spread damage, but Sparkling Aria also hits the Pokemon on your side of the field as well, so you do have to worry. You do have to watch out for that, right? So realistically, Hydro Pump I think is like the best move here. I'm trying to record a video. Can you not, please? Okay, you're gonna come up anyway. You still wet from being outside? I don't appreciate this, Stella, but thank you. This is Stella, everybody, if you haven't seen her yet. So yeah, Hydro Pump, Protect, Thunder, Freeze Dry, right? Like I was saying, Lapras. It's a pretty standard move set. This honestly is not complete, these EVs, IVs here, but and you're also probably not going to see Quiet either. I'm going to click that right there. We're going to go minus there, and then we're probably going to run just like 30 in speed just to kind of speed creep some stuff and then max out HP, right? So this is likely what you're going to see from a Lapras, especially in kind of like a Turbo Lapras set. If you're running Tailwind, I don't see any reason why you would need to run 252 in speed. If you get the Tailwind up, you're going to be outspeeding a lot of stuff, right? Especially if you just have like a little bit of EVs to kind of speed creep, right? You're gonna and maxing out that HP stat is going to be pretty important to help keep you alive for quite some time, especially with the if you get the Gmax Resonance up, right? Which is the purpose of running Tailwind next to Gmax Lapras, right? You get fast, you've already got a pretty decent HP stat, and then you get the Aurora Veil up. Gmax Lapras is pretty scary, right? So that's kind of the spread, and works really well with the movesets, right? And some of the supporting Pokemon. Wartortle didn't have anything in its Picolytic set, so I just kind of made up some random stuff. Eviolite, Torrent, right, just for the extra damage. You're probably not going to get a whole lot of use out of Rain Dish, considering that your base HP is 59, which is your lowest, actually second lowest stat after speed, right? But I decided that if my opponent were going to be doing anything, it'd be like a Shell Smash, Water Spout, Blizzard, and Scald set. I don't really know. It just kind of seemed like you would, if you were going to bring Wartortle, you might Shell Smash. I don't actually know like what else it gets. It gets like some physical moves too. It does get Gyro Ball, so like maybe if you wanted to run it like something like this, and then instead of a Modest Nature, you give it Quiet, right? You give it a Quiet Nature. You can maybe run something with like Gyro Ball, possibly. I don't know. But it's Wartortle. I don't expect to be brought at all, honestly. I don't know what it does. I don't know if my opponent knows what it does, but they have it on their team. So yeah, honestly, not really that good of a mon for a draft league. It doesn't do anything particularly well as a not fully evolved Pokemon. So like, yeah, it's kind of whatever. This is the spread that I gave it. I don't know, like 252 and something else, and then like 4 inside. Wartortle, honestly, it's not coming. All right, Vileplume. Vileplume can get Focus Sash and Chlorophyll with Sludge Bomb, Sleep Powder, Energy Ball, and then After You actually was one of its more popular moves. So Vileplume is pretty interesting because it's basically like Venusaur light. It is It is almost the exact same thing that Venusaur does. It's just stats are a little different, probably not as good, right? I think actually if we were to like to bring up, if I'm just going to throw Venusaur, yep, right here. So like if you just kind of compare Venusaur stats, which like speed base 80, Vileplume speed base 50, special defense on Vileplume was 90, it's 100 on Venusaur. It does have better special attack than Venusaur though, and better defense. Lower attack, which is nice, but it also doesn't have as good a HP, right? So, but because of the chlorophyll ability, that speed stat really kind of matters, and that's probably why more people are running Venusaur than they are Vileplume, right? So, but Vileplume, it really does the same thing, right? It runs a poison move, runs sleep powder, runs a grass move, and then runs like, I don't know, maybe like protect or after you, something else really. Yeah, but so then you're gonna kind of see that reflected in the stat spread, right? So the stat spread would likely be like 164 HP, 92 special attack, and then 252 speed. You're gonna want it to be a timid nature just because its base speed is 50. You're really gonna want that extra speed just to make sure that you're getting that like boost out of chlorophyll, right? As much as possible. I could honestly see probably less in the HP and then more in the special attack, right? Just to make sure that you're hitting like super hard. But you really want to hit like sleep powders as well, right? So like I would honestly also probably run a wide lens just to make sure that I'm hitting my sleep powders as well, right? Or give me a better shot of hitting them. But yeah, so that's the spread. The one thing that I want to come back to is the chlorophyll, which doubles speed in Sunny Day. I don't expect my opponent to get up Sun at all, so I'm not actually expecting Vileplume to show up to this battle either. I don't have anything that really works well for Sunny Day, so I'm not going to be setting it, so it's not like my opponent could bring it and then use it against me, right? Tyranitar, I think, learns like a fire move. Yeah, right. You can see it learns like Fire Fang, Fire Punch, right? Which like it could maybe, if it Dynamaxed, set Sun up for Vileplume, but realistically, not going to happen. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move into the team that I think my opponent is actually going to bring, which is this one, Pizza Week 2. So I said in DD with a Psychic Seed and Psychic Surge. I can tell you right now, I was wrong on that, right? I brought up the fact that, not a Guavaberry, the fact that my opponent has shown to bring Choice Specs. So I definitely think that was the right answer, was Choice Specs over Psychic Surge or Psychic Seeds, right? Psychic Seed makes a lot of sense on the female in DD. Doesn't make a lot of sense on male in DD because you're not hitting. You're trying to hit hard with male in DD, whereas with female in DD you're a much more heavy on the support side. Still going to be running Psychic Surge and then Expanding Force, Trick Room, Imprison, and Hyper Voice. I've shown on my DD that I run Hyper Voice, so I would expect my opponent to try and Imprison my DD, right? As far as sets go, definitely put 252 here, but I don't actually think that would be correct. I think that my opponent would want to run for the speed just to get off Imprisons if necessary. Actually, but the thing is that if you're going to imprison anything, you're really aiming for like my Trick Roomers and my DD, which my DD is going to be slower anyway. So the HP does make sense. I do think that we could see this, right? You're not going to be outspeeding other things to hit them hard though, but you get a Talonflame with a Tailwind up. It doesn't matter what the base speed is. This base speed of 95 is going to be outspeeding most of the rest of my Pokemon anyway. So I think this is a perfectly fine set for my opponent to bring. I said Psychic Seeds, but I probably should say Choice Specs, right? For the Lapras I think is going to be bringing Life Orb. For the ability, it's definitely going to be Water Absorb, right? Like my Gmax Pokemon is Gmax Blastoise, right? So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for my opponent to bring Shell Armor, because I'm not aiming for critical hits, right? And then, my opponent could, hit me with like the bait and switch, throw out the Water Absorb, which realistically, like getting the HP heal off doesn't really matter if you're hitting me with like a bait and switch unless Lapras has already been in. But you do basically like waste my turn, right? And then especially if I'm Gigantamaxed and I Gmax Cannonade into that set, that's huge. That's a wasted Gigantamax turn. You hate to see it, as like if it's happening to you. The set that I'm expecting to see, right? Hydro Pump, Freeze Dry, Protect, and Thunder. Right? It's what's standard, and it works really well together, right? You use the Gmax ice attack to get the resonance off, right? Get you the screens. Hydro Pump Gmax is going to set rain, and then once you're out of Gmax, you can use Thunder, and you get 100% accuracy as long as it's raining, right? For the EVs, we've got 226 in HP, 252 in special attack, and then 30 in speed, right? Kind of what I was talking about earlier. You throw out Talonflame next to Lapras, you get the Tailwind off, and then you get the Resonance off. You're gonna be tanking a lot of hits, and it's gonna be going pretty well for you. Tyranitar, I'm expecting a weakness policy, Sandstream, Protect, Superpower, Rock Slide, and Lash Out. This is another Pokemon that my opponent could decide to Dynamax. Superpower works really well with that, so does the weakness policy, and then Rock Slide, Lash Out are just two really good stab moves that Tyranitar can go for. For EVs, I think that my opponent's probably going to bring something a little bulkier, so 252 HP, 252 attack, 4 speed, and then an adamant nature. Just to really live some hits with that HP. Most of my Pokemon are slower than a base speed 61, and my opponent has Talonflame. So I expect Tailwinds to go up. Don't really expect my opponent to not be outspeeding me with without the 252 EVs into speed. For the Comfey, I expect to see Focus Sash and Triage, right? It's just kind of what makes sense. If my opponent didn't have a Triage, it could be like a Babiri Berry. Or sorry, not the Triage. If my opponent didn't have the Focus Sash, it could definitely be Babiri Berry. 100% expecting Triage. And then I'm expecting like Draining Kiss, Giga Drain, Floral Switch, and Floral Healing, and then Ally Switch. Ally Switch I think is going to come really in handy, especially if my a Gmax Lapras, or sorry, if my Blastoise is out with the Lapras out, right? It's another way that my opponent could maybe use my water moves against me with the Lapras out on the field, right? Floral Healing, right, just to keep the heals, and then Giga Drain, Draining Kiss, depending on which Pokemon has the weakness policy, which either one of these could have it. Triage is going to allow Comfey to get that weakness policy procced. For the stats, I think it's going to be something kind of like this. 252 in the HP, and then like 204 in the defense, and then 52 in the special defense, which actually I forgot to give it a nature, so then it could maybe be something kind of like this with a bold nature, and then instead of, if we take this down to like 143 and then pull this up to 143, right? So you could probably see something like this. Most likely with the Comfey for the stat spread, right? You're not really aiming to do damage because most of the time you're actually going to be attacking yourself first, or something that you think might be a Focus Sash target, right? With Comfey. So I think my opponent's going to bring Kangaskhan. I think that so the other Trick Room setter that I have on my team is Trevenant, right? Outside of like realistically, it's like Galarian Slowbro and then Trevenant, right? So. My opponent, I think, definitely would want to fake me out and stop me from using Trick Room. So I think being able to fake out my ghost types with the Scrappy ability would be really important, right? Moving into it, Silk Scarf, just for the normal type boost. Scrappy already kind of talked about being able to hit ghosts with normal and fighting moves. Fake Out, Protect, Sucker Punch, and Last Resort. One, you got a lot of priority here with Fake Out, Sucker Punch, and like technically Protect. Protect just keeps you safe and it's nice. And then once you use all three of those moves, you can use Last Resort to hit really hard, right? Especially for a stab move. The Kangaskhan is probably going to be running something like 252 attack, 4 in special defense, and then 252 speed with a Jolly nature just to make sure it's outspeeding things. Realistically, the speed you probably don't need as much. Once you start using Last Resort, like it might come in handy. I'm not a really big Kangaskhan user, so I don't really know, but it's already base speed 90, so it's likely that my opponent decides to kind of go bulkier with the Kangaskhan if they do bring it, and then if that's the case, they're probably not going to run a positive speed nature. It's probably going to be something like, it's probably going to be Adamant. Talonflame's the last Pokemon I think my opponent's going to bring. The Sharp Beak Gale Wings combo, pretty tough, and I really think that that's what my opponent is going to have. And then I think they're going to be bringing Tailwind, Brave Bird, Flare Blitz, and Taunt, right? Same moveset's not really going to change. 252 in attack, 252 in speed, with a Jolly nature just to make sure that they're outspeeding everything. So the team that I'm bringing that I think gives me the best chance of beating Mr. Pizza is Galarian Slowbro, Trevenant, Gmax Blastoise, Indeedee Female, Scolipede, and Railu. So let's start with Slowbro. Galarian Slowbro is going to be one of 2 Trick Room setters. I think that being able to get myself in a Trick Room is going to give me a really good advantage against Mr. Pizza. I don't have anything that actually sets like a positive speed advantage outside of Scolipede, right? So I'm thinking that a Quick Claw, Quick Draw Slowbro is going to be one way to get myself speed advantage, and then also Trick Room, right, to be able to, you know, swap it around, right? I'm going to be bringing Expanding Force, Mudshot, and Shell Sidearm. Expanding Force and Shell Sidearm are both really good stab moves, and then Mudshot, if I do Gigantamax, can hit some stuff pretty hard, right? We're going 252 HP, 252 special attack with a Quiet Nature, and then we'll probably, I think there's like 4 in special defense, I don't remember. And then Quiet Nature, just to make sure that we're hitting hard and moving slow, right? Trevenant. Trevenant is going to be our other Trick Room setter, but we're running a Guavaberry and Harvest, trying to get ourselves into sort of like a rotation, you know, like a keep ourselves alive, basically, is really the Harvest Guavaberry, you know, strategy. We'll be running Trick Room with Woodhammer, Phantom Force, and Ally Switch. Phantom Force and Woodhammer both do a ton of damage as stab moves, right? Phantom Force also gives me the ability to hit through Protect, even though it's a 2-turn move, right? The only Pokemon that like I would be really concerned with like sending Phantom Force in on is an Indeedee. Otherwise, my opponent doesn't have anything that's immune to that, right? Trick Room obviously for speed control, and then Ally Switch is just like a really good move. It's basically like Protect, and then the fact that I have Harvest a Guavaberry, if I think that my opponent is going to be aiming into a slot, I can Ally Switch, right, the Trevenant into that slot. It gets hit with the Guavaberry, and then I have it gets hit, pops the Guavaberry, and then I have a chance to harvest, you know, that berry back, right, which is really nice. The spread, we're going 252 in HP, 88 in attack, 84 in defense, 84 in special defense, and then a Brave Nature, so minus speed plus attack. I think what I ended up doing was I think I went like 90, and then I think this one ended up being like 80, and special defense ended up being 80. Nope, not 880. What is that? 80? No, this one might have been 86, maybe. I don't remember. I think I went with like 9, or maybe I went 88 and something else. I don't remember what my final how I EV'd this out, but I used the vitamins to do it, and it didn't come out to be like the 96, 88, 88, or whatever I had, whatever it was, or the 90, 84, 84, whatever. It was something weird, right? But anyway, it's meant to give me maximum HP, so that I get a lot of use out of that berry, and then really be able to hit hard, and then also move slow in the Trick Room setting. Unfortunately, my Trevenant that I do have isn't 0 speed IVs, but realistically, at a base 56 with a minus speed nature, and then what I think my opponent's going to bring, I'm not too concerned about it. G-Max Blastoise, we're running Life Orb Torrent with a Flash Cannon, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, Hydro Cannon. I'm pretty sure this, if I remember correctly, this is the same set that I ran last week. I have decided to go with the the special attacker, just because I've got Trevenant that already hits pretty hard with the physical attacks, Scolipede, which is a physical attacker, and then Railu, which is also technically sort of a physical attacker. But that's besides the point. The Flash Cannon, the Hydro Cannon does a lot of damage, and is a really good stab move. And then Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, all of those provide their own little things, right? Like Dark Pulse can flinch, Flash Cannon can lower special defense, Ice Beam can freeze, right? And they just provide really good coverage against things that my opponent can bring. For the spread, it's 252 HP, 252 special attack, 4 in special defense, and then it's a modest nature, right? We're just trying to do damage with Blastoise. That's really about it. For the Indeedee female, we're going Psychic Seed and Psychic Surge, right? Those work really well together, as well as Expanding Force, right? Which gets the damage increase. We're also running Hyper Voice, Helping Hand, and Follow Me. If I remember correctly, I think I actually changed this to Protect, like right before the battle, though. If I'm not mistaken, I think that happened. The set that I'm running is 252 HP, 252 special attack, and then 4 in special defense with a modest nature, just to do as much damage as possible with the Expanding Force. For the Scolipede, we're running Choice Band, Speed Boost, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, Earthquake, Steel Roller. I also think that this might have been Assault Vest. I think I changed that to Assault Vest like at the last moment. as well. I made some changes like right before the battle happened. I'm pretty sure I went Assault Vest because I think I calculated it out, and I actually think it was for an NDD female, but I was supposed to be able to live a with an Assault Vest. I was supposed to be able to live an expanding force without any special defensive investments, so that's why I ran Assault Vest, right? So I went Poison Jab, Rock Slide, Earthquake, and Steel Roller. These moves give me a lot of flexibility in being able to hit my opponent for super effective damage, and Scolipede is pretty much my other... I have like 3 Dynamax options on this team. Honestly, actually, I think that you could really consider that I have 5, because Indeedee could be a Dynamax option, but it's not really likely. Indeedee's there for support, but you can Dynamax it to hit pretty hard with your Psychic moves. But realistically, like Slowbro, Trevenant, Blastoise, and Scolipede in certain situations could all be very good Dynamax options, right? Scolipede probably number 2 after Blastoise, right? So, but I've got a lot of options here on my Scolipede to do super effective damage to my opponent. This Steel Roller actually ended up becoming Mega Horn, which I really hated to do because, you know, I didn't want to get rid of my Steel Roller that I had spent the 5 Armor Idor on, but there wasn't a whole lot that I could do. I felt that Mega Horn going into this battle provided me much greater use as one, a just regular standard move. I could hit things on my opponent's side for super effective, namely Indeedee, and then also the Gigantamax move, lowering special attack. I foresaw as a definite use, as something that could be useful for sure. Railu, I wanted to bring because it's got Prankster. Eviolite, you know, just kind of gives it a little bit of bulk, right? And then Rain Dance, Bullet Punch, Coaching, and Helping Hand. I wanted Rain Dance because I wanted to be able to control weather, especially with Tyranitar on my opponent's team. However, I definitely can say that I forgot to change that up before the battle. So the set that I actually brought was Copycat, Bullet Punch, Coaching, and Helping Hand. And then this set might be wrong. This might be the 96. I think I brought the 96 and 64 in the attack slot. I think that this is the spread that I went with, if I'm not mistaken, for the Railu, just to get a little more damage off if I do Bullet Punch or Coaching. Realistically, though, I don't really think that that's kind of what you need. You'd really probably just be using Bullet Punch to break sashes, but with like a base 70 attack, like that's not terrible, you know. But it's also like, you know, it leaves something to be desired, I think, especially because you're not getting any sort of stab bonus here either. So thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're looking forward to my match against Mr. Pizza this week just as much as I am. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to stay up to date with me and my content, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to follow me on social media, all of my links will be in the description below, and that's where you'll get notifications anytime that I go live on Twitch or I upload a video to YouTube. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one, and until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.